Hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. In this video I want to talk to you on a topic of philosophy, which is the fully fledged human being. So I will write it here, philosophy, the fully fledged human being. I have no transcript prepared, no notes whatsoever. This is just the GNOME desktop environment, and I have just Emacs and OBS Studio open. I will dismiss this now. I know that it is working. Okay, good. So, the fully fledged human being. I want to talk to you about this topic and expound on the relevant theories. But because of the specifics of what I'm about to say, I think it is useful to also demonstrate what I mean. And to be concrete, I want to sing for you the lyrics of a song. Sing, yes. And this is philosophical, and you will soon learn why. So, the song is in French. It is called Le Métèque, which means the metic. There is that word in English, or the emigrant, by Georges Moustaki. Le Métèque. So, let me sing for you. I will sing badly, but it doesn't matter, because the philosophical point is the same. It's even better, actually. Let's see how it goes. Avec ma gueule de métèque, de juif rond, de pâtre grec, et mes cheveux aux quatre vents. Avec mes yeux tout délavés, qui me donnent l'air de rêver, moi que je ne rêve plus souvent. Avec mes mains de maraudeurs, des musiciens et des rôdeurs, ta 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 ta. I don't know the rest, we have to check, but I don't want to read the whole song, you get the idea. The point is that I did something philosophical just now. Let me actually take off my glasses because I don't need to read anything anymore. So I am communicating directly to you and making this as spontaneous as possible. I did something philosophical now. I sang a song, the lyrics of a song. And you may be wondering, how is that? What is the connection? I am confused. Please explain. The connection is that I am doing something that is all too human, something that is normal. Sing. I do other things which are normal for humans, like dance. I dance badly, perhaps even worse than sing, but it doesn't matter. What matters, and what the philosophical point is that I am recognizing something within, something that wants to be externalized, to be expressed, to find an outlet, to be made manifest. There is this feeling, an impetus that is driving it. And I notice that it is there. And I give it the outlet it wants. Obviously now I didn't want to sing right now. I am doing it for the sake of this presentation, to forward the philosophical point. But there are moments in the day where I will genuinely want to sing. Moments where I will start dancing. Because I listen to a nice tune and I am in the mood and I dance. No one gets harmed by it, so it's not a problem. The philosophical point then is that of honesty. Being honest with myself, recognizing that something is there, seeing it for what it is, and then deciding on whether it should be done, how it should be done, and so on. There is an awareness there, a mindfulness. I notice what is going on. I pay attention to it. I don't try to suppress it, meaning that I don't have a a bias against it. Oh, no, hide. I don't do that. I am being honest about it. And I'm like, okay, you feel like singing? Sing. You feel like dancing? Dance. No problem. No stress. There is nothing wrong with it. You may say, Prot, I am surprised. Protesilos, what is this? I thought you were a philosopher. What are you doing here singing badly? It's not like you will make a career. You are just making a fool of yourself. You are embarrassing yourself. Why? Why am I embarrassing myself? Why am I making a fool out of myself? What does it even mean to be a philosopher in this regard? Who writes the script for those roles anyway? Who decides what a philosopher can and cannot do? And the same for all other roles that we come up, okay? Not just philosophers. Who decides it? It's just arbitrary. I did something that is perfectly human. I did something that is not harming anyone. I did something that is okay. I recognized my emotions in that moment, which means that I was honest with myself. I was aware of my condition. I was reflecting on my condition. I was being introspective, but also I recognized what the prevailing conditions are. Because I cannot just be introspective and say that I am honest that way. Because if you don't recognize the environment you are in, the contributing factors that inform your case, you cannot be honest because you are laboring under false hypotheses, unverified claims, outdated information, and so on. To be honest about our condition requires that we are inquisitive, that we search and we ask questions about our surroundings. What are the prevailing conditions? To be honest about me wanting to sing, I have to understand what is out there that inspires me to this behavior. What is out there that causes this, which I think is internal? What is out there that is responsible for my conduct? There is music playing, blah, blah, blah. I can start questioning and find answers. I don't want to focus too much on this example. The point is that our presence, our existence, our selfhood does not exist on its own. It does not have a standalone presence. It is not in a vacuum. So I can just be introspective and have perfect knowledge. It exists in relation to other presences. It exists in a system of systems, in a milieu, where factors, all sorts of factors, work together and their interplay produces phenomena. And those factors change. The circumstances evolve. The states of affairs differ. So it's not fixed. It's not predetermined. It's not constant. So whatever I think about myself has to be mindful of the case. What is the case? What is the constitution of the case? The composition of the case? What are the factors in their interplay? And how do they inform, influence, frame, determine, or otherwise direct my behavior, my disposition, and so on? To be honest, then, requires that we have this sense of the bigger picture. We are not just looking inwardly. We look in and out, and we combine the findings. And we recognize that because we are always operating in evolving states of affairs, we have to keep an open mind. Because if we don't keep an open mind, there will be a point where we will not be honest about what is happening, because we will be assuming things that are not actually there. We will be working with outdated information, inapplicable hypotheses, wrong beliefs. Honesty, then. Honesty has this aspect to it which underpins our dubitative and inquisitive attitude. Dubitative means to doubt, and inquisitive means to inquire, to ask. To doubt, to ask, to be honest. Then we return to the topic of the fully fledged human. What is it that I am being honest about? What is this fully fledged human being anyway, and how does it differ from the ordinary human being, from the partially fledged human being? Please explain. The fully fledged human being is one who is honest about their humanity. Specifically, the fact that our human condition is multifaceted. It has many different aspects to it. We have reason. Now I am appealing to your reason, to your rationality. We have emotions. Perhaps I am also not speaking only to your mind, but to your heart. You can see that I am authentic. You can see that I can be dancing around, and I can sing, and I can make jokes, and I can make a fool of myself, as it were. So maybe I am also getting to your emotional aspect. And we have needs of the body as well. And we have what we would call a spirit. We have all those facets to our humanity. We cannot be purely rational, purely emotional, just a spirit. Oh, I will just sit here and dedicate my life to the heavens, to the gods of this world. It doesn't work that way. You are embodied. You have a body. You need stuff. That is not about the spirit and the heavens and the gods. The body needs specific things, either you like it or not. You cannot be purely rational, because either you like it or not, you are moved by emotions. There is an emotional side there that you cannot omit or eject from yourself. You cannot leave it out. Recognizing our multifacetedness, recognizing that all those aspects to our humanity inform our condition, means that we will no longer try to behave in ways that are fundamentally extremist. To think that you can only be rational, for example, is an extremism. You are going to the extreme of reducing yourself from a human to perhaps a machine, a robot. A cold heart that has no feelings and it's just a mind. That's not possible. You will have feelings, even if you don't show them. You will have needs of the body, even if you think you are just a spirit. You cannot avoid them, and so on. By being honest, then, we recognize that we have to take care, tend to all those facets of our humanity. We have to find a balance, a state that contributes to our stability. We have to be moderate in our disposition. We have to avoid the extremes of like being just rational or just a spirit or whatever, because those extremes are actually harmful for us. They are harmful because we do not recognize the limits, the boundaries within which we operate, the boundaries, the constraints imposed on us by our very condition as humans, our human nature. So when we do not recognize the limits and we try to go outside of them, we suffer the consequences. And this is very practical. If you are just rational, for example, you are not being fulfilled. There are aspects of yourself that are not satisfied. So you have all this stress that you, or this uncomfortable situation that you are in, that you are suppressing. You don't get to get a change of scenery, as it were. You don't get to relax and recharge your batteries. You are always trying to conform with the role of the purely rational agent of action, this chimera, this mythical creature, which has nothing to do with our actuality. When we recognize the multifacetedness of our condition, we start thinking about everything that is a part of us. So, for example, when I say that I am doing philosophy, I'm not just talking, I'm not just thinking. I am mindful of everything that informs my condition in order to be able to pursue this philosophical end. And this is something I also talked about in my recent video about thinking, living, and acting, where I said, for instance, why do I speak in this pace? Is it because I cannot speak quickly? The reason is that I control my breathing. I recognized that if I speak too quickly, I basically run out of oxygen. And when that happens, our body is hardwired to panic, to do something to find oxygen, because you are literally dying. So I recognize that when I speak quickly, I am not fully in control of what I am saying. When I speak quickly, I start to panic. And when I panic, I don't think clearly. You see how this works? It's very simple. And the same for all other things. The question I get most often in my email correspondence is, how do you focus? And this is also something I covered in my last video about the fast-paced life and magical solutions. How do you focus? It's not a simple trick. It's not like you find that hack, that ability to, make your mind work in a certain way, and now you are focusing. You are not being honest about your condition, about all the factors that are contributing to your actuality. What is your sleep cycle like? Is your diet burdening you, or is it good for you? In terms of emotions, are you invested in all sorts of things, and are they disturbing you the whole time? When it comes to being productive, do you have all those stimuli that require your attention? So you cannot really channel your energy to where it needs to go? If you don't take care of all the magnitude, if you don't account for the constitution of the case, why do you expect to have a magical outcome? Why do you expect this one neat trick, this secret that nobody will tell you about? There is no secret. It's hard work. It's about being honest with your condition as a human being, being honest about the multifacetedness of your humanity, recognizing that there is a body and mind, which are part of the same system, but recognizing that you have to take care of all of its aspects. Because if you leave something out, it will keep throwing you off balance. It will keep pushing you towards an extreme. Notice that what I am saying now about extremes and finding a balance, about being moderate in our disposition, are conceptual. I am not prescribing a recipe for moderation, a recipe that you will just follow. So it's, let's say, 5 glasses of water and 2 meals per day, and I am now moderate. It doesn't work that way. Each person is different. There is no one size fits all. This is something I say all the time. Each person has a different midpoint, a different level around which they will be operating to find that balance in their life. It's not the same for everyone. What works for me specifically, you cannot just copy paste it and it will work for you exactly the same. And this is the point about honesty. Be honest with your condition, with your milieu, with your case. So by being honest, you will recognize what needs to be done, what tweaks have to be made. It's not about mimicking someone else, someone you saw on the internet or read about, and you're like, oh, great, I will do exactly the same and I will be good. It doesn't work that way, my friend. And it will never work that way for you. It will keep throwing you off balance. You will keep moving towards an extreme. The avoidance of extremes is a misunderstood concept. This idea of moderation, of finding the balance. Because, for example, I will tell you not to be too emotional about things. Don't be passionate, a burning passion for my projects. I want it so much. Don't be that way. Because if you are that way, that passion will kill you. Because you think that you are in control. You think that you own it, whatever it is that it is. You think that it is yours. You don't recognize that it is not yours. And when it is taken away from you, you will be left with emptiness, with desperation, despair, fear, sadness, depression. All because you were in an extreme state. So you will go to the other extreme. And you will keep oscillating between the extremes until you recognize that you need to be moderate, less emotional, but not emotionless. Again, remember the multifacetedness of the human condition. We have emotion. We don't suppress them. We don't hide them. We don't pretend that they are not there. Oh, I am a philosopher, therefore I have no emotions. Nonsense. Of course I have. Of course I want to sing. Of course I feel awe when I observe the sunset or when I listen to the sound in the forest, the sound of the wind and the birds. It is inspiring. I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. This is great. I feel nice. I can stay here for longer. It's not reason. This is not rationality. Of course, we have a propensity to rationalize everything and to say, look, the reason I like this, the sunset, is because blah, blah, blah. And you will try to reduce it to something that is looking like rationality. And that's okay. I understand why you are doing that. Because we are in a world that is itself off balance. A world that has deviated from the moderate way and is extremist in basically everything it does. It is extremist about fitness, for example. Just look at, let's say, a muscular male body today and compare it to an ancient Greek statue. The ancient Greek statue looks like a weakling in comparison because you have those males now that have like muscles that are like this big. And you're like, are you a gorilla or a human being? And they are like gigantic. And you're like, what is going on here? Why do we need to spend all our day in the gym, all our day consuming chemicals just to pump up those muscles? Well, what's the point? Why are we extremists in that way? Shouldn't we have some time to also reflect about other things and not just constantly work at the gym? Do we really need all those steroids and supplements, etc., etc.? To prove what? It's not balanced. The same with our diet, with junk food, filled with sugar and salt and fried all the time. So everything has to be done to the extreme. Add more flavor, more. Make it as addicting as possible. Make them crave for it all day long. Make them think about their food even when they are asleep. It is extreme, again. There is nothing subtle about it. It is in your face. Art. You watch a video clip nowadays of a song, and it is like a so-called erotic film. Again, in your face. Again, the extreme. Again, reducing humans to a piece of meat. When we are moderate in our disposition, we want to avoid those extremes. Not suppress them, not deny them, not deny that they exist, but to find the balance in our life so that we do a bit of everything, but we don't lose sense of perspective. So we are in this balanced state, this level that is benign for us. It is not harming us. There are some things which are always bad, however. So it's not, what I'm saying about moderation is not find everything and just go to the average. That's not what I'm saying. For example, junk food is always bad for you. There is no good middle ground. So it's like, okay, you can eat, let's say, 3 times per week. It's still harmful for you. The same with extreme emotions, for example. If you are, let's say, stressed at work or angry, and anger is something that is often elusive because there are many things that annoy us that are off balance, but we don't quite understand them and we are angry. So you have this pent up anger, this frustration, this feeling that you will, kill someone. And it's always there. It's not that extreme state where you are literally, breaking things and punching the wall or whatnot. So you are not at that apparent extreme state. You are a level or two below where you are angry, you are frustrated, but you are not exploding in anger and frustration. But when this happens regularly, you are being thrown off balance again, constantly off balance. There is this concept of the 1,000 cuts, death by 1,000 cuts, as opposed to death with one hit, with one blow, a fatal hit. Death by 1,000 cuts means that each cut on its own is almost harmless. You have like a fine slice, like this. But if you increment them and you have 2, and then you have 10, and then you have 100, gradually it starts to hurt. And gradually you die from all the wounds. But because it is happening incrementally and gradually, you don't recognize that it is a problem for you. You don't recognize that it is harmful for your condition. So you let it go. You let it pass, rather. You let it pass and it accumulates. And then when it's too late, you recognize that something is wrong. It's the same with diet. If you eat junk food, for example, it won't kill you right away. Or if you are smoking cigarettes or whatever, it won't kill you right away. It's not a fatal hit. It's the death of 1,000 cuts situation. If your diet is not mindful, that will affect your sleep cycle, that will affect your levels of energy, that will affect your levels of concentration, and so on and so forth. So it is not killing you right away, but it is already contributing to an undesirable downturn. The same with emotions. If you are frustrated a little bit every day, stressed a little bit every day, being in anger and so on. So what I am saying about moderation should in no way be misconstrued as finding whatever it is and, checking the extremes and going for the middle. No. Some things are always bad for you. To a greater or lesser degree, yes. There are degrees, of course. But you have to be mindful of your condition, honest about your humanity, so that you minimize those motions away from the notional middle ground, from this notional midpoint of stability. We cannot have a perfect stability in our life, like the state where nothing moves anymore, because that is not human. We cannot be in a state of emotionlessness, of having no emotions, having no thoughts, having no needs for the body. It's not possible. You can obviously understand why that is. So I am not saying that we have to be in the middle and do nothing. I am saying that we have to be moving towards the midpoint. But we are not at the midpoint, but we are moving towards the center. And our ups and downs are minimized. So the rhythm is slow and steady. It's not extremes. It's not moving up and down, oscillations between the extremes, which are constantly throwing us off balance. And then we suffer the consequences. The fully fledged human being, it is also something that relates to our roles in life. And I will give you one example here. It's also related, I could have used the example where I sang a song, but I want to use another one, and you will see why. I have a cousin, distant cousin, a girl. I last saw her, I saw her rather the previous time I met her. She was 14 years old. Smart, inquisitive, and also pretty. But what was very evident was her character. She would always ask me questions and be there and listen to what I had to say. So I met her again recently, and she is now 20 something. So by the rules of society, because of this role that people have in their life, now she is not a girl. Now she is not a child. Now she is a woman. And that is a loaded term, because it comes with specific expectations, such as not being childish. Now you are a woman, you must marry, you must have kids, and so on and so forth. You must do all those things. So I met her. She is still pretty, but now she is just pretty. There is nothing else left. No sense of asking any questions. No kind of smartness there. No sense of humor whatsoever. Now she is fully in the role of the lady, the object of admiration, emphasis on object. So for someone to see her and fall in love with her and marry her and do what is done afterwards, kids, family, etc. There is nothing wrong with having kids and having a family and all those magnitudes. Absolutely nothing wrong. The problem is more subtle. It has to do with being dishonest about our humanity. Are you telling me that my cousin suddenly forgot how to ask questions? That suddenly she has no sense of humor? That suddenly she lost her intelligence? That suddenly she became a Barbie doll? Is that it? Is this what fate had in store for her? No. This is her being dishonest about her humanity. Her not recognizing what the conditions are. Her following some prescriptions, some exhortations that are coming from society, conforming with a certain role, just because it is there, just because everyone is saying those things. So without critically assessing them, without being aware of them, without questioning them. And this is why I sang a song to you earlier. To challenge your biases, to challenge your prejudices about what it means to be a philosopher. It means nothing. I can do whatever I want because I am human. I am not limited to something that in your mind should be a philosopher. I am not in favor of denying, of pretending that aspects of our humanity are not there. I am not here to tell you to do a subset of what it means to be human. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in denying and suppressing aspects of our humanity. I want us to be honest, and through honesty, to understand what our condition is, and to find a balance based on the reality, not a compromise with social norms. That is not a balance at all, because the social norms need to be questioned as well. They need to be placed under scrutiny. Why should women be an object of admiration in this way? Why should my cousin be reduced to a doll? I don't like it. I cannot say anything because it doesn't work. Because if I tell her to be herself, and for example to ask questions, then some idiot, some manly man will tell her, why do you have an opinion, woman? You should be doing the dishes. You know what I'm talking about. Those silly, those inane ideas, those stereotypes, those gender roles. Roles are not limited to gender, of course, just as I said about what you might be thinking about what it means to be a philosopher. But I am just using this example because it is relatable. You understand that this works in your case as well, in your society as well. There are differences, okay, fine, apply the differences, but you get the idea. You know what I'm talking about. Would it hurt anyone if my cousin had a sense of humor now, expressing it, and if she had questions, and if she were talkative? It wouldn't. It would be better, because she would be honest. And the others would be honest as well, and we would all be working towards a harmony in our collective life, away from extremes, away from prejudices, away from pernicious stereotypes. We have all those boxes that we put people in, and we say, you are a woman, you are this, you are a philosopher, you are this, you are whatever, you are that, you cannot be anything else. You are a programmer, you are a nerd, you must be just a nerd, you cannot be anything else. Why? Who comes up with those rules anyway? And why should we take them and make them our own uncritically? adopt those views mindlessly without any kind of consideration of how they affect us, of what their implications are. How do they ramify to other parts of our life? Honesty, then. The fully fledged human being. You see how far this goes, this simple concept. All my concepts are simple in this way. You can understand them fairly easily. But their profundity is not obvious. You have to start thinking in those terms and start connecting the dots. So, this is all I had for you today, folks. Thank you very much for your attention. I will just take my glasses so that I can find the button to disable the recording. So, that's all for today, folks. Goodbye and take care.